Welcome to the Business of Thinking podcast. This is the place for high achievers who want more than motivation. They want mastery. Here we skip the surface level talk and go straight into the psychology of high performance.
My name is Reid, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Joel Steele. And Joel is an entrepreneur, he's a former personal trainer, he's a coach, and he's also an author. Well, welcome, Joel. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me on the show.
So you've got quite an interesting background, haven't you, before you came into this kind of work? Do you want to tell us a little bit about that and how you arrived at what you're doing now?
I've gone through an interesting journey. They say that cats have 9 lives, and I'm not sure if we have more or less, but I'm probably close to the end of mine. So I'm being a little more careful these days. But I've gone through instances where I went through borderline bankruptcy, was very close to being thrown in jail, and had several times with a gun pointed directly in my face. And I didn't know if I was going to live or die.
Wow.
And I was living my life sort of in off mode. You know, I talk about life switch is you're either on or you're off. And I was living off, coasting, going through the motions, not seeing clearly where I was going, and almost ended up at the exact opposite of place where I envisioned myself I would be. I envisioned having a nice life, having a business, but I wasn't doing anything to get to those ends. And ultimately, I was ending up in a dead end. And I was fortunately able to realize this and turn it around and live my life on to the fullest, where it's resulted in business success. It's resulted in being involved with passions of mine, like sports ownership, and in spending time with my family. So I really was able to turn the whole train around, if you will, and focus on the things that drove me because I loved them. I was passionate about them. And it starts in your mind. It starts with thinking and being aware. And people really underestimate the power of your mind and your thoughts, positive or negative, and which direction you're going to go in. But the crazy thing is everybody is making a choice every day of where they're going to go. It's not everything around them. It's you. You're deciding what you're going to listen to, what thoughts you're going to entertain, actions you're going to take. And ultimately, you're kind of choosing where you're going to end up in your life.
Interesting. We'll unpack that a little bit more as we go through. But tell us a little bit more about the dip. How did you get into that off switch mode and some of those tricky situations you described?
Yeah. Well, after a rough start with the almost being shot and almost ending up in jail, my trajectory started to go up and up and up. I had one success after another. I had built a success streak, which is something I love to tell people about, the power of a streak because it builds momentum. But I kept accomplishing everything I set my sights on. I would say, okay, I want to get good grades. Okay, I want to become a fast runner. I want to get in great physical shape. I want to open up a business. And I was able to continue to do these things. And it built more confidence. It built more power. It really had me believe that if you believe you can do something, you can and you will, if you believe in yourself, if you remove doubt. Then came the part of the movie, if you will, where you didn't know if the main character was going to make it or not. And this was my healthy restaurant. I was super passionate about health and fitness. So I opened a small, healthy fast food restaurant chain. And I had 3 stores. This was in my early 20s in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So not a real friendly city, not a real fit city either. People didn't care too much about eating healthy. They just needed to eat. And they're known for cheesesteaks, which I imagine you're aware of. So it was definitely an uphill battle, but I was excited and confident that I could conquer it. And ultimately, I was wrong. And I questioned that belief for a period of time. Is anything possible? Can people achieve anything they want to? And what I really realized at this low point when my business failed and I owed close to $500,000 in debt at 24 years old, I realized that, you know what? It's not just about sort of what I'm doing. Like, okay, I wanted to have a successful business, but it's all these tools that I had, all these assets I had within me at my fingertips in my brain. I could take them and redirect or pivot all these strengths that led to success in other things and industries and interests and apply them elsewhere. And that's what I did. I applied them in the financial services business. I became and opened up a financial advising business. And I was able to dig out of that debt in less than 2 years and build an amazing business that I would have never built if I didn't have that urgency. If my toes weren't dangling in bankruptcy, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So that failure ended up being the best thing that could have happened to me. And so what seemed like a loss ended up creating the ingredients for a huge win. And that's something people don't look at enough. They look at a loss as a dead end. I failed. I'm no good. I've got to go do something safe. It's like a boxer who doesn't get up off the mat. They're never going to win or have a chance of getting a shot in there or anything if they don't get up. And so that's one of those key things. You only lose when you accept losing, right? When you say, I've lost.
Yeah.
And so when my restaurant failed, I admitted defeat, but I didn't accept it. I decided I was going to move this somewhere else to find the success, to find the vision of what I had for my life turning out to be. And I was fortunate that I was able to, with hard work and planning that I thought of in advance, I was able to tackle the industry and come out on top quickly, but also be able to stay there. So I'm sure people listening have had losses and tough spots, but you want to go back in your past, think through where you maybe failed, but where can you extract value out of those perceived losses to create wins going forward?
It's really interesting what you're saying there, Joel. It's often what I talk about when I talk to people about resilience. It's actually adaptability. It's learning from mistakes rather than being defined by mistakes. Those qualities, were they always within you, or were those things that you learned as you went along?
You know, the funny thing is, all these qualities, we all have them, and they're all a little different for everybody. But I believe that we are all pre-wired with all these assets, all these tools and abilities within us, but they're not utilized. They're not understood. So it starts with an awareness. Everyone's looking out here. You know, they're Googling, they're chat GPTing. You know, what am I good at? What's my passion? It's like, stop it. Like, hand over the camera, right? Look within. Everything is within you, but you have to find something that activates it. And so, yes, you do learn as you go, but the strengths, the weaknesses, everything you have, they can be utilized in a way to get you to where you want to go. So we all have that pre-wiring, but you can pre-wire a house. If you're building a house, you can put through all the electric, the wires, and connect everything. But if you don't flip the power switch, you don't have anything. And so everyone has this wiring, but they're not getting the most out of themselves because they're not powering on these strengths, these assets and components within them. So yes, you have them within you, but you sharpen them, you get them brighter by going through and utilizing them and learning from them. Look, just like, you know, any quarterback in the NFL doesn't come out able to throw a 60-yard spiral football, right? They have an ability to work hard, to hone their craft, to be passionate about, confident, committed at something, and they get a ball in their hand, and now they become a great quarterback. Same thing with basketball, with shooters. You know, the best shooters don't come out as great shooters, but they have this set of skills, these internal assets that allow them to find something to focus on and then become great at it.
Yeah, great analogies there. And how do you power on? How did you power on?
I powered on by clinging to the vision of what I wanted my life to be. I always had this vision. And it's funny, Richard, because, I lived in the moment to a degree, but I always was thinking forward. And I pictured this house with the windows, big bright windows and white kitchen and my wife and kids in the background. And this was when I was in my teens, and I didn't even like kids at the time. I had never been around kids. I had no experience. If someone had a new baby, everyone would say, "Oh, look at the baby," and I'd say, "I'm okay, I'm good." I just didn't have an interest, but I knew I wanted that. So I had this vision of what I wanted my life to look like, and I don't even really know why I had that vision, but it made me happy. It made me feel alive and fulfilled, and it was sort of my GPS of that's where I want to be. And I didn't see in there failure. I didn't see debt. I just saw a happy existence, and I wanted that so bad. And I also was pulled to be a business owner, to have my own business, to be entrepreneurial. I couldn't just sit home with my feet on those in that kitchen. And so I had to find a way to meld that together. But I think it starts for everybody with a vision of where you want to go. So where you're at now is your point A, and point B is where you want to go. You don't need an MBA degree or anything else to understand that. Everybody, when they get in the car, they have a desired destination, whether they know where they're going or they have to put it into the GPS to figure it out. But outside of that, you are just going round and round and not knowing if you got to where you want to go because you're not sure where that is. So you have to have purpose. You have to have a destination, and that helps keep you on the right path through the tough times that everybody's going to go through. And that was a key thing that pulled me out of that debt and that despair, was that vision. I said, I can't quit on my life. I'm 24 years old. There's too much time left to not get up off the floor and to fight back and try to fulfill that vision, get to that point B. And it's the same thing for anybody else. If you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 60s, you can't quit. It's not fair to yourself. I'll tell you a real quick story. I had a 95-year-old client, one of my retirement planning clients, and her daughter checked her into an older people home, a senior living facility. And about a month later, the mom called her daughter and said, I'm getting out of here. She said, what's the problem? She said, there's too many old people here. And this lady's 95 years old. And she said, I am not ready to lay down and die and give up on living a fulfilling life with passion and purpose. I don't care if I'm 95. Well, she lived to 102. So she had 7 more years of great quality living because she recognized that she was not going to lay down and put one foot in the grave because it felt like she should, or someone suggested she do that. And neither should you. You should not give up on living the most fulfilling life that you've envisioned for yourself at one point or another.
So true. And I guess it's having that vision, having that direction. It's so important in terms of deferred gratification, isn't it? That actually you withstand the difficulties because you know what you're working towards. You've got an eye on the prize. When you haven't got that, you're more likely to give up.
That's right. And you see this every year, throughout the year in sports on every level, whether it's football, soccer, basketball, baseball, cricket, you name it. Winning that championship and holding up that trophy is so rewarding where people act like little kids and cry because it was so difficult. So you want that. You need that. And that goes back to that part about really thinking. You don't want the easy, smooth, paved road. You want the uphill, unpaved, uncharted road because the biggest rewards are the hardest to get to, but you want that. And people oftentimes they think, and this is the key, they think they want the easy path, but you don't want that because that doesn't have the payoff. To live the most fulfilling life, you need challenges. You need to sharpen your sword. And you do that sometimes by having some of these losses and these setbacks because it makes the triumphs so much sweeter. And when you think back on the things that you did that were hard, that were challenging, you are proud of yourself. You want to pat yourself on the back. I can't tell you how often I sort of thank myself in a non-conceited way that thank you for going through all of this. Thank you for dealing with everything. Thank you for not giving up on me and us, right? Because there's a couple of versions of you, actually 3 versions. There's the past version, the current version, and the future version of yourself. So you're sort of operating as a team here. And so yourself, but then also if you have family, friends, associates, business partners, you're generally having other people that can be raising that trophy in life with you. It's usually not just yourself, but being proud is the opposite of people not trying the hard road, not being fulfilled and looking back later in life and feeling regret. Regret's a really tough emotion because it gets worse. It gets bigger over time. And oftentimes you feel it most at a time where there's not a lot you can do about it. Sometimes nothing you can do about it. So like this present version of you is able to look back in the past of what you're good at, what you're not, strengths, weaknesses, assets, liabilities, and take them into the future to visualize that destination we talked about, to find a way to pave that path to get there, knowing it's going to be hard, knowing you can do it. And when you do, it is the greatest feeling. It is the ultimate natural high when you can accomplish a difficult task that you had set in your mind. You set it, you planned it, and you did it.
Yeah, totally agree. And I guess some of it is about what I call self-actualization in that, often we have a sense of what we're capable of, but we shy away from it because we want to be comfortable or because we're afraid or we've had a setback before. But we however much we try and hide, we're still aware of that gap, aren't we?
I'm so glad you said that. Yeah, I'm so glad you said that because that is the self-actualization is a higher level of living than most people will get to, because they either aren't aware of it or they don't want to deal with it. So what do? They take it and they shove it down, right? Some people, they find ways to cope. They might pop a pill. They might, drink something. They might hang out with friends all the time, or be on their phone, or watch, 18 hours straight of Netflix. So people are suppressing these things. But here's the thing. Your emotions are telling you everything that you need to know, everything, but they're doing it without using words. So if you're feeling a little uneasy, uncomfortable, a little upset, a little down, anxious, it's like your body's like, hey, I'm trying to tell you something, pay attention.
Yeah.
And a lot of people instead, we better shut this voice up. So let's drink the beer, let's pop the pill, let's smoke a joint or whatever. And they suppress it. But like you just said, Richard, you cannot outrun yourself. I don't care how fast you are. You are always going to be having to face yourself in the mirror. And what do you want to think about yourself? Do you want to be proud of yourself, or do you want to look in the mirror and be disgusted and feel regret? And I wish I could have, I should have, I didn't. That's the tough pill to swallow. The easier pill to swallow is to address the emotions, understand what they mean, and start to take activities and plan what you're going to do to not suppress the emotion, but to utilize them. So I'll give you an example. In my financial business, I had a lot of anxiety early on because I was afraid what if people didn't buy the things I was suggesting or go with the investments. And I had to pick up the phone, and I was anxious to do that because I was afraid of what they would say. They would say no. I was afraid I was never going to be able to have this great life. And I was able to channel that anxiety and really convert it into activity. So instead of letting it bother me, I started to use it as fuel. So I had all this anxiousness, and I said, okay, what's the problem? Problem is I'm afraid. I'm afraid I'm going to fail. I'm not going to, all these things. What can I do about it? I can use it as activity. I can let it drive me. Not what if this doesn't work, but what if this does work? So what if I call this person and they say yes? And every time I called somebody, there was a chance they would say yes. And so I figured the more I called, the more yeses I would get. I didn't care about keeping track of the no's. I was focused on those yeses. So converting anxiety into activity was key for me. And for anyone else, same idea. Whatever it is in your life, converting fear into fuel. And so it's really important. And when you do this, you realize there's a corresponding action for every emotion to make it go away, not just temporarily, but really permanently. So use emotions, understand what they're trying to tell you without words, and go after activities to reduce or eliminate those negative emotions. They'll be replaced by positive emotions, jubilance, joy, being proud, happy, fulfilled, all these good things that you want. You have to go through those negative emotions to get to where you want to go.
Yeah. So it's leaning into the anxiety, isn't it, rather than running away? Yeah.
That's right, because you really can't run away anyway. So you could run in fear, or you could address it and use it. Again, I succeeded in the financial business because of the fear, the anxiety, the desperation, the urgency. It could have crushed me. In fact, my stepfather at the time was a doctor, and he prescribed a couple different pills. I don't even remember what they were, but they were for anxiety, depression, and those kinds of emotions. And I know people have legitimate issues where they need those, but I knew that the answer to my problems wasn't in those bottles. I knew it was by getting out there and climbing this mountain, this different mountain, where I got knocked off of the other one, rolled all the way down, tumbled to the bottom, and then was staring up at this bigger mountain. I knew the only way to get rid of those emotions was to pack my bags and to go north. And that's what I did. And again, it wasn't easy, but in hindsight, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. And I got to where I want to get to, and I'm thrilled about that. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping other people climb their mountains, because they can, but they have to decide if they're going to.
Yeah. So tell us more about the work that you're doing now.
Yeah, right now, I still run my financial company. I've been doing that for 22 years. But what really gets me fired up and excited to get out of bed every day is to spread the messages from my book, to get in front of audiences and explain stories like this, things I've gone through. I've got so many long lists of experiences I've had and other people have gone through. but I really want to help other people climb their own mountains, to realize that they might be living off and they could be living on. So all the talks I do, whether it's a workshop or a keynote, I feel most alive on a stage with people in that room that want to get more out of themselves, that want to get more out of the world, because I think I can help them do that. And the best part is you don't have to sign up for this or buy this or all this other stuff. You just have to start utilizing the powers, the assets that you have within yourself. So I'm just creating awareness, helping people realize the power of thinking is the power to achieve everything you've ever wanted to have come into your life. And you have what you need, but it's time to power people up. And you can think about this like having your phone. On your phone, everyone's got one now. You have apps, and sometimes your phone comes with apps, or you can get apps downloaded from the store. But if you want to utilize an app and it's on your phone, but you've not downloaded it and set it up, you're never going to be able to use it. So you have all these apps in your brain. They're there, they're preloaded, but a lot of people haven't downloaded them. So they're not using them. They're not benefiting from them. And it's time to really wake up to that and recognize that whatever you want to do, you can do it. And it all starts within. That's really the key message.
Yeah, and that's really interesting, because I guess as you were just touching on, a lot of people, they look outside themselves for the answers, don't they? Whether it's books or advice from other people. But what you're saying is actually it's all there. You just got to configure it.
Yeah, it's really holding up a mirror. I'm trying to hold up a mirror to everyone else. I've done it to myself. And when I did the book, the hardest part was understanding how I had this success. So when I first wrote the book, it was all the ups and downs I had. But what was the point of that? It wasn't to say, hey, look at me, this is what I did. It was to help other people understand how to do it. And there was times, good and bad, where I really had to think deeply, how did I do this? And it was an amazingly interesting experience to really dig into the psychology of how, why, and what I did. But it further got me fired up to get people to realize that they can do it too. I don't have any specific, talents or anything within me that makes me an exceptional person. It's just how I used what I was given and used it to the fullest. And also a really key component, Richard, is the philosophy that the blessings in your life can also be the curse. So again, we talked about anxiety. People might be on anti-anxiety or antidepressants. The reality is these emotions for some people might be the perceived curse, but might actually be a blessing. Might actually be the high octane fuel that they need to get out there and do what they want to do. And for me, one of the things was I had this drive to be great, to be above average, but that drive has at times backfired. That blessing has become a curse at times, where I'm at home and I'm not present, and I'm self-absorbed, and I'm focused on being at work when I'm home. I've had times where I'm at work and I'm home, and when I'm home, I'm mentally at work. Mm-hmm. And so it's my brain. Sometimes I can't turn it off. My brain has provided me a lot of great things, but my brain can also bury me if sometimes I don't unplug or take a step back. So understanding that we all have these double-edged swords, and you have to realize when you're using the right end of the sword and the wrong end of the sword.
Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? There's some emotions that we label as being bad emotions, but as you say, they're not. They're there for an evolutionary purpose, and we can channel them.
That's right.
So what are some of the ways in which you help people to tap into these emotions in an effective way?
Yeah, well, it's primarily through the storytelling that I do in the book, and with my conversations I have with audiences or workshop groups. It's, again, walking through their past a little bit, getting them thinking about the successes and failures and what they can extract from them today, right? Because that's all you can do is handle today, control today. Yeah. And then, again, have that vision of that future. So I'm getting people to realize, again, that this is where you're at. This is how you got here. More importantly, where do you want to go and how are you going to get there? So I'm telling stories about this, getting them to think about their own lives. And the reason is because, again, in my financial practice, I have people that are retired, and hey, you're retired. You've got, $1 million or $2 million. You're set. You're good to go. What are you going to do? Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. They worked
It's
at their
so
job.
true, isn't it? A lot of people see retirement as a be-all and end-all.
Yeah, they worked at their job so long that they became their name badge. You know, it says what they do. What you do is not who you are. I am not a financial advisor. Yes, that's what I do, but that's not what I want to be known for. And people oftentimes, they integrate them and their job, and then there's no way to separate them. And kind of like Peter Pan, people grow up and they forget about their childhood dreams, the passions they had when they were kids. And when you're put on the spot, hey, what do you want to do with your life? I don't know. I have no idea. And then they leave it at that. And then they go put on The Price is Right or whatever on TV. And they drown out these things again. They go through the same process their whole lives. You have to stop with the distractions and really look within. I don't care, again, if you're 25 or 65, but I just want people to live on, to power on the best version of their lives. And there's a couple of reasons for that, but mainly I just think the world would be such a better place if more people were living up to their potential, existing with passion and having purpose and doing things for a reason and getting out of bed every day in the hustle and bustle, not being distracted, not being temporarily and artificially stimulated, but really being excited to be alive. And we all have this opportunity to be on a journey, and life is a journey. But that in itself is an opportunity. A lot of people, they describe life. They say, well, how's it going? You probably had this, Richard. You say, how's it going today? They say, same blank, different day. I mean, that doesn't sound like a real passionate existence.
It's sad, isn't it, when people say that? Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like a hamster going around the wheel, and they're living off. They don't have direction. They don't know where they're going. They might not know where they're at. They're going through the motions. You have us humans, we're incredibly capable. We were meant to do so much. We don't have to start businesses and build skyscrapers, but to get the most out of ourselves is one of the purposes of why we're here. And it's sad and disappointing that a lot of people have given up, oftentimes at a relatively early age, on maximizing their potential, seeing what they can do in this world. I kind of view it as like we've got joysticks and buttons we can be pushing and make things happen. That's what's so cool about our capabilities. And we can do it. Not everybody can. Some people are disabled physically and or mentally. Some people aren't alive anymore. So part of my passion is I do what I do because I know other people can't do it. And I feel like if I don't do it, I'm cheating myself. I feel like I'm cheating God. I feel like he put me here for a reason. He put all of us here for a reason. I'm not an overly religious person, but I think we're here to do something. And you want to figure out what that is. And it's not that hard to create some good in the world. If you this morning go out and hold the door for somebody, you'll see it already. It's just people helping people. It's a connection. We're a social society. Yeah. But something as simple as holding a door for somebody, letting someone cross on the road in front of you, they appreciate it, and it lights you up too. So you can take
ripple
that,
effect, isn't it? Ripple effect into the world.
And you can take that to the nth degree and give back and be helpful as much as you want. And it's a feeling where the more you give, the more you get. And it's just a magical feeling where, again, it makes you feel electrified. And that's what living on will do. It'll get you excited to be you, to get up every day and to get out there and be excited about what might happen, not fearful of what may or may not happen.
Yeah. And what do you say to people who say, well, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what my direction is.
I say, great. You have that opportunity to figure out what it is. And life is a journey, and so is figuring out your purpose. You have that opportunity to find it. So you want to be excited. You might find that purpose today. You might find it tomorrow. But if you're not looking for it, you're not going to find it. Because if you're not looking for it, this is what you're doing. You're walking around blindfolded, and you're not going to be able to get what you're looking for if you can't see. And if you don't know what you're looking for, it's just not going to happen. So you want to really be thinking, take 15 minutes a day, whether you're in bed, in the sauna, walking, driving, turn off the music, turn off the podcasts besides this one, and just think, right? What do you like? What are you good at? What gets you excited? It's in there. It's in your brain. There is something or some things that are the right fit for you. And it's marrying together what you're really good at and what you love doing. And when you can do that and you find it, that's the life switch moment. Oh my gosh, this is it. And I had that happen with my restaurant. I'm super passionate about having my own business, helping people eat healthy. And it just hit me. I'm going to start a healthy fast food restaurant. And that didn't work out. So, okay, I need to make a lot of money. I love to help people. I really enjoy solving problems, whether it's a game or an actual puzzle. I love solving puzzles and problems and helping people. I realized that I can do that and make a lot of money in the financial industry. So that's the path I went down. Now I want to help people get the most out of themselves. So I didn't want to just go around and say, listen to me. I wrote the book about how I did it. And now I'm trying to flip it around and turn the page to have other people do it. So I just keep taking these things, these evolving purposes in my life and just applying them as I go. And purpose does evolve. So you have a purpose now and maybe it's the same, but there's also a very good chance that it changes or it just evolves over time. And that's the key, but you have to try things. Finding out something you don't like or aren't good at is just as good as finding something you are good at and you do
Totally
like.
agree. Yeah, totally agree. And just sort of listening to you describe some of the things there, it sounds like a lot of this is essentially about mindfulness, isn't it? It's about tuning in, being deliberate and intentional rather than zoning out and self-medicating in different ways.
100%. That's the only real way to do it. It's your mind. All the great visionaries and business owners and people that are icons, they utilize what's up top. They utilize what's in their mind, and then they bring it out into the real world. And so when you think of an idea up here, it's not real, it's not tangible, it's not out in the world. So when you think about it, okay, boom, it pops up. When you then write it down, now it's out there in the real world. You can see it. And when you see something, Richard, you believe it more. And then once you believe it, you can build the confidence that you can achieve that goal. But until it's taken out of your head, you have to extract it as thought, put it down as an idea, develop a plan, and then it becomes reality. That's where everything you see in the world, go look around everywhere. You see Starbucks, you see McDonald's, you see all these businesses. They started as an idea in someone's head who decided to take it out of there, make it physical, make it tangible, make it real, and run with it.
Yeah. Exciting stuff. What are you going to be working on in the coming year?
Booking more speaking engagements and hoping the book gets out there more. One of the goals I have with my book, Life Switch, is if the book sells 1 million copies, I'm going to personally donate $1 million to charity.
Wow.
So I'm excited about that because it's all the inspiration and all the good that we're talking about on a one-on-one basis. It's something that all of us together can accomplish this massive major goal of helping a lot of people who need help, who maybe can get back on their feet and become maybe a visionary for the future. There's a lot of people out there that just are stuck. They're stuck. They can't even think straight. They don't know what to do. And sometimes if you give a helping hand to some people and teach them how to fish, they can really become a powerful, impactful person in society. But there's so many great causes out there. There's so many people that need help. There's so many people that can't write out a check for $1 million. But I just thought by involving all the readers to be part of this great vision and mission, they're going to feel great about themselves because by buying the book and getting entertained and being inspired, they're going to help to create a 7-figure donation to charity around the world. Because I'm not picking the charities. At my website, people will pick the charities. The top 10 charities are going to get $100,000 each. But I'm excited about it. And it's an uphill challenge, Richard, but that's what makes it so exciting because it's unlikely, because it's difficult, because some people said I couldn't do it. That's why I'm so fired up to do it.
Yeah. And the book sounds fantastic, but I guess that's the big incentive in itself, isn't it? If you're raising money for charity as well. Yeah,
you can't lose. I really think people are going to enjoy the book. So far, it's moved a good amount of copies. And I'm really excited about that. The feedback has been very good. And I love it when I hear positive things when people read the book. And I just know that if it's in more people's hands, whether it's the physical book or the audio book, people are going to really get a lot out of it because they're going to get a lot more out of themselves. And then the charity is just sort of the bonus on top. So that's what I'm excited about. And it's something that's never been done before. And books have been written before. There's a million books out there, and that's an understatement. But this is different because it's so relatable and because it helps you get the most out of yourself. It's realistic. But ultimately, nobody has given away $1 million as a first-time author. And that's why I'm excited to do it, because we're doing something that's not been done, that is possible, that is going to be the ultimate natural high if and when we can do this together.
I think it'd be fantastic. I'd love to know how you get on with that, Joel. Before we finish up, any final thoughts for the viewers?
Everything we talked about. I don't want to overdo it, but everything we talked about, understand the power of your mind and your mindset. It is not something that you want to push down and suppress. It's something you want to tune into. So you want to tune out more of the distractions in the world around us, which is not easy to do, right? Because this is more addicting than any drug that exists.
Yeah.
And if you could tune out of some of the technology and other things and tune into yourself, you are going to look back 3 years, 10 years, 30 years from now and be proud of what you've done. And I want that for you because I know it's possible. I know you can do it.
Joel Steele, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the business of thinking. Mastery doesn't end here. See you in the next episode.